English is an international language and tends to be the default for everyone. And I have the feeling that we do not reflect on English much. At least that's my case. Normally, I will think about how grammar works for Russian, for German, maybe for Italian, for French, or specific vocabulary topics for those languages, but I normally do not reflect much on English. And that's why when I was studying at the university and a professor told us about a specific phenomenon from English, I was like, wow, I never really paid attention to that, even though I'm not a native speaker, so I could have actually paid attention to it, but I actually didn't. And today I want to compare this phenomenon with other German languages, such as German and Swedish. Why these two? Well, because I speak them. I don't speak them perfectly, but I'd rather use languages that I speak for the comparison. I hope you're doing great, and if you're ready, let's get started. First of all, thanks a lot to my Patreons, my Ko-Fi supporters, everyone who's watching, liking, sharing, and everything. This does really help a lot. I haven't been so active here lately because I'm working on the course. I really want to finish it, and so I'm focusing more on that. I also sometimes do not know what to talk about, and I found that this topic was interesting, and I hope it will be. I know most people are on holidays anyway, so I don't know if many people are going to watch this video, but still I hope it will be interesting. So what's the phenomenon I was mentioning at the beginning of the video? In English, there tends to be two words for the same thing, specifically for formal and non-formal. Having different words for the same thing is not something extraordinary. We all know about synonyms. But in the case of English, what's interesting is that the formal word tends to come from French through Latin or through French directly due to historical reasons, and the informal word tends to come from the Germanic roots of English. So you have words like discover, which comes from French, and words like find out, which comes from the Germanic roots. And you would have like herausfinden in German, for instance. And you wouldn't have a word like discover in German, more like entdecken. So it's in German, it has kept this Germanic root, and in English, it has more of this French influence, which is interesting. Quick break to let you know that there are huge discounts on Lingoda during the month of July. Lingoda is an online language school. I've done videos about it in the past, so you can check them out. And basically, they have huge discounts during the month of July, and they even have a sprint. With the super sprint, you can even get 100% of your money back if you stick to the commitment. It's incredible, and it can help you learn English, Spanish, German, French, or Italian. I don't want to make this too long. I'll leave you more information below, but you can also take Lingoda Flex with 40% discount. Be sure to use my discount link and also my discount code, and you'll find all the information below. Of course, this is not the only example, right? For instance, in English, we have the word help, which is very similar in German and Swedish, helfen und hjälpa. And you see it's written similarly. But in English, for more formal situations, we would use the verb assist. How may I assist you? Which has this root from French, right? And in German, you can naturally say, wie kann ich Ihnen helfen? So in that case, in German, you would still have this Germanic rooted word. And in English, if it's a formal situation, you wouldn't. If we want to describe something we want to start, in English, we could say start or begin, both of them being informal, I would say. But if we were talking in a more formal situation, we could say commence. In German, we wouldn't say something like commencieren or something like that. We would say something like starten, beginnen, anfangen. So all of them from a Germanic root. And in Swedish, as far as I know, we can just say börja, att börja. Looking at a whole sentence may help to see this in a more clear way, both sentences being in English. So we could say, we will commence our investigation and discover the cause. This has a lot of words that come from French, but we could also say it in a more Germanic way, which in this case sounds a bit more informal, and say, we will begin our search and find out the reason. So you see these words have more of a Germanic origin, like begin, search, find out. In German, we would say, wir werden unsere Suche beginnen und den Grund herausfinden. And in Swedish, we could say something like, vi kommer att börja vårt sökande och ta reda på orsaken. So we could also say Ursache in German. So Grund, Ursache. And in French, we could say something like Nous commencerons nos recherches et découvrirons la raison. So you see something like reason, raison, discover, découvriront, commence, commenceront. So you see it's this sort of root, right? As I mentioned at the beginning, there's a historical reason behind why this happens. During the 11th century, the Norman conquest changed everything. In a nutshell, it meant that the nobles would speak more French and the peasants would speak more English. So that's why there's this difference between formal English and informal English. Formal English being more influenced by French than informal English. Also, the church used Latin, so in some cases maybe it's not clear why a certain word is used. Maybe it's because of French, maybe it's because of Latin influence, but regardless, those words are not coming from the Germanic origin, but have been influenced by either French or Latin. This does not only happen to verbs, like we saw, but also to nouns or even adjectives. For instance, the kingly palace in English is more everyday English, but you can also say the royal palace, whereas in German we would say the königliche Palast, or in Swedish det kungliga palatset. But in French, of course, it's le palais royal. So you see the word royal coming from French, even though the word kingly still exists. There are thousands of examples. If you know more, you can leave them below. Would you like me to talk about similar topics, or what other topics would you like me to talk about? I'm always open for new ideas. I hope you're enjoying the summer, and see you soon. Bye bye.